Hello, friends. This is Sam Chaney reporting for Weaponized News. Today, May 29th, 2025. Thank you for joining us on this Thursday edition of Weaponized News. What do we got today for you out there on the interwebs? Gunther's here. Thank you for joining us today, Gunther. What do we got today? Propaganda out of the White House pushing the one big beautiful bill. It's going to add $22 trillion to the national debt over the next 10 years. It's wonderful. It's beautiful. And it's big. Whole lot of debt. We'll go over that a little bit more today. Oh, you were labeled. It's now coming out. I thought we already knew this, and I thought this was the goal, actually. If you're a real patriot, activist, American, somebody with a backbone, a soul, and a conscience, I thought this was the goal the entire time, to be on the interwebs, because we know it's a giant spy machine. I thought this was the goal. I'm mistaken, though, by my definitions of a lot of things, apparently. But now it's come out, and I thought this was already known, but it's confirmed by the Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, that if you were critical of the medical intervention, you were labeled a domestic extremist by the Biden administration. Well, don't you worry. If you're critical of foreign wars under the Trump administration, you'll be labeled a domestic violent extremist. So don't you worry. You can keep that label if you actually have a conscience. And so that's always good to know. The on again, off again tariffs. We'll go over a little bit of that. International court has ruled against Trump's reciprocal tariffs. So we got the back and forth about that. Apparently they're back on again, though, now as a U.S. court. Did a U.S. court rule? I don't even know. It's hard to keep track. I know they're pumping. I know they're using all these tariff instability and volatility to game the markets. The insiders are. You better damn well know that. And they're profiting handsomely because of it, leaving the rest of us in the lurch, especially businesses, small businesses especially. I think the big ones got it figured out because they're on the inside. But the small ones are like, what the heck? What's happening today with the tariff? What do I charge for my price? How much is it going to cost me? Trump just laughs in your face. Who cares? Make America great again. What else do we got? A little bit about public health. Not that much today. There is a lot, but I'm burnt out on it, man. Honestly, it's like pray and fast for your public health. That's all free. You know what I mean? And I've reported on it so much. I'm burnt. That's why I quit reporting on it for like a year and went geopolitical, primarily focused with Simon, because I was just so burnt out on reporting on public health. It's just, if you don't know by now, it's corrupt. All right. I mean, we'll continue to report on it, but it's just so tiring, man. It drains me, the idiocy. You don't know when you stick it in you and you fall over, something's wrong. I don't know. You know, it's just so tiring. It's so freaking tiring. Okay, anyway, enough of my bitching. Back to the criminal government. Oh, if you didn't know, MAGA and anybody else that supports the Trump administration, they're all feds now. And Kash Patel and Dan Bongino, your great MAGA patriotic heroes, they're feds. And so you never trust the feds. I mean, that's default first grade type stuff. Position is you don't trust the feds. And so now they're rerunning this thing again about Epstein. So we'll go over that nonsense. They're floating the idea that James Comey's going to get in trouble. He's not getting in trouble. It's just another psyop, some more nonsense. We got, seems that the liberals, the left-wingers, the Trump haters, have have latched on to the Wall Street call sign of taco, and they're, as the thumbnail of the show, put a couple of the AI generated images mocking Trump, wearing a taco suit and wearing a chicken outfit. Trump always chickens out is the acronym that taco stands for. And I find it hilarious. Maybe deported for it, for mocking Trump. Who knows? Who knows, man? But anyway, we'll go over that. We got a funny clip and show a couple funny memes and make fun of Trump. God knows he deserves it. What else do we got? Oh, the your lying corporate CIA Mockingbird Media is now jumping into the podcast game. Big competition for me over here, right? But if you like being lied to, propagandized, then I guess tune on in to the Mockingbird Media podcast shows, because they've killed cable news now. And so now they're looking to kill podcasting, I guess, with their never-ending propaganda and lies. So we'll go over that a little bit. Remember old, what's her name? Megyn Kelly has a big podcast now, I guess. And it's called MK Media, her company, basically mind control. They tell you they're freaking liars, man. And it don't matter on what for. I mean, they could be talking. Can they even tell the truth? They're like pathological liars. You know what I mean? Feels like when you lie that much, it just becomes second nature, and you're just a pathological liar. We got a little more AI news. AI is taking over the news. Probably has been for a long time. Then we have our geopolitical news, and then big news out of China via Simon. Shout out to Simon on the interwebs. We'll go over a report out of China where they openly brag about how them and their friends are going to accelerate the implementation of UN Agenda 2030, one world government, as we continue to report a shift away from Western hegemony, or U.S. hegemony specifically, and Western power in general, to the East, China, Russia, and the like, the Greater Eurasian Partnership. And that is the trend here now. And it looks like that's been the plan the entire time, as all these governments at the top levels are working together toward the goal of one world government. If we're not under already, and all signs point toward the fact we're already under a shadow one world government, but they want it out in the open, and everybody bow down to, I don't know, the UN flag or whatever they come up with. They'll probably have to come up with something other than the UN, but right now they're underneath the UN flag to implement UN Agenda 2030. So we'll cover that out of China. Quite disturbing, actually. We got this. What else do we got? A lot of geopolitical news back and forth. We got new. Apparently, according to Prime Minister Modi out of India, Operation Sindoor is still operational. So there's still some back and forth to. I guess they haven't avenged that alleged terrorist attack yet. So we may still see some flare-ups there between India and Pakistan. What else do we got? Russia, Ukraine, of course, June 2nd. Monday is going to be a big meetup. A Russian major who was blown up by a suicide bomber. We have video. I don't know if we can even show the video. We'll show it. What the hell? Maybe not. I don't know. Anyway, quite horrific. The guy just walks up to him and explodes and kills him too. It's a suicide bomber. Quite horrific indeed. We have little Marco Rubio, Secretary of State, says that, America is going to vigorously enforce its new visa policy against any critics of aardvark land. And so that isn't that good of them. They're at the State Department. We have that. Of course, genocide continues in aardvark land. Quite horrific. 62 Palestinians have been killed in the last 24 hours there. And they're bombing the hell out of southern Lebanon again. And a bunch of reports out there in the mainstream saying, oh, there's going to be a ceasefire. There's no ceasefire. All right. And even if they say there's a ceasefire, there won't be a ceasefire. They will continue killing people, as has been the case this entire time. But that everybody has their hopes up for a ceasefire. Good luck with that. We got our shadow president, Bibi, doing this creepy interview with a kid explaining why he needs to go ahead and genocide everybody, essentially, there. So we have that to play for you if you can stomach it. We got the aardvark ambassador to the UK saying that, insisting that this is the most justified war in the world. Is it even a war? It's basically just a slaughter at this point. You got the most advanced military in the world, aardvarks, against people in tents. And maybe there's a guy every once in a while with some type of homemade explosive. Maybe he has a rocket. I don't know. But can we even really call it a war? It's just a genocide at this point. What else do we got? Houthis allegedly. Well, they say they did, so I guess that's not allegedly. According to the Houthis, they fired a missile at aardvark land, and aardvark say they shot it down. So we got that to cover. That's about it. But just a lot more on the genocide. It's horrific, hellish. Oh, aardvarks authorize more settlements in the West Bank. So these ultra-Zionist, religious, fanatical extremists, on par with any Islamic extremist group, are going to go ahead and steal people's houses, property, may just kill them as well. But they're God's chosen people, so how dare you question it? And so we won't question it. We'll just cheer it on, right? We'll cheer it on as the genocide continues. Yeah, so all that and much more on this Thursday edition of Weaponized News. Thank you for joining us. I see some people in the chat there. Aardvark land in the house. Oh, thank you for joining us there. Wheezy from What is Truth podcast. Okay, let's get to this day in history. On this day, going back to the year 1453, a very significant event, Constantinople, capital of the Eastern Roman Empire, falls to the Ottoman Turks, ending the Byzantine Empire after 1,100 years. In 1765, Patrick Henry's historic speech against the Stamp Act from Great Britain, answering a cry of treason with, "If this is treason, make the most of it." In 1790, Rhode Island becomes the last of 13 colonies to ratify the U.S. Constitution. In 1848, Wisconsin becomes the 30th state. In 1886, American pharmacist John Pemberton begins advertising his patented medicine, Coca-Cola. Back then, it had the cocaine in it. Begins advertising it in Atlanta, Georgia. Isn't that funny? A pharmacist is the guy that came up with the formula for your favorite soft drink, Coca-Cola. In 1916, the United States invades the Dominican Republic, of course, to liberate their people, actually staying there until 1924. So occupying a good 8 years there in the Dominican Republic. Not that war's a racket or anything that we covered on Memorial Day. In 1919, Charles Strite files patent for the automatic pop-up toaster. And I do love that invention. I use a automatic pop-up toaster to this day. In 1932, the Bonus Army arrives in Washington, D.C. in 1932. On this day, freedom of assembly confrontation ahead. The Bonus Army was a march on Washington on this day by an estimated 43,000 World War I veterans, their families, and supporters to demand early payment of their World War I veterans' bonuses, which by law were already scheduled to be paid in the future. About 17,000 members of the Bonus Army were actual veterans. The Bonus Army camped out in the southeast part of Washington, D.C. for several weeks, creating a thriving community with kitchens, schools for children, and organized entertainment. Fearful of any sign of political radicalism during the Depression, military intelligence spied on the Bonus Army. Shocking, I know. One informant claimed to have heard aardvark voices. In truth, there were some communists amongst the Bonus Army, but the Communist Party was late in trying to organize amongst its members. Historians have established that the Bonus Army was a spontaneous movement that enjoyed popular support as groups crossed the country on their way to Washington, D.C., demanding their veterans' benefits and bonus pay for serving in World War I, and it was much needed in the Great Depression. In 1943, meat and cheese was rationed in America on this day. That really sucks. For, of course, World War II. In 1953, Mount Everest was conquered by Edmund Hillary and Tenzing Norgay. They were the first to reach the summit of Mount Everest as part of a British expedition on this day. In 1954, we saw the first Bilderberg group meeting in Oosterbeek, Netherlands. Remember, a long time they denied it even existed. They said you were crazy if you talked about it. Why are all these powerful world elite and governments meeting behind closed doors and cooking up their agenda and plans for humanity? Like, what's going on there? And they said, a conspiracy like that doesn't exist. You're insane. Now, Bilderberg Group has their own website. They brag about how you're a slave and you're going to eat the bugs and they own you. And you will, how does the saying go? You will own nothing and be happy. So there you go. From conspiracy theory to having their own website and bragging in your face that you're a slave. So there you go. In 2014, America, under Obama administration, trains, quote, moderate rebels in Syria to fight the Assad government and Al-Qaeda. Isn't that interesting? So our intelligence agencies do enjoy funding, arming, and training all sides of the conflict. So there's no way you can lose that way, right? And then fast forward to, I think this happened yesterday, but they're calling it official today. We have video of it, quite striking. The Birch Glacier collapse. It buries 90% of a Swiss village in Blatten, Switzerland. The entire village is evacuated in advance. We have video of it, quite striking glacier collapse. All right. Let's get to our segue here. Here's propaganda from the White House, from the Trump administration about the one big, beautiful bill. And remember, Senator Ron Johnson told us it's going to add $22 trillion to the national debt over the next 10 years. They don't care. Here's our segue, and then we'll get into all of the rest of the news for you.
Legislators on Capitol Hill are currently working to advance President Trump's one big, beautiful bill. With a bill this big and this beautiful, we brought in Kevin Hassett, director of the National Economic Council and proud owner of 3 pocket calculators, to explain what it means for the IU, the American people. And don't worry, we brought in Caroline Levitt to translate.
Well, about 80 million workers in the U.S. are hourly workers who can make overtime if they work more than 40 hours, or sometimes in collective bargaining agreements, it could be overtime could start at 35 or earlier. And it's President Trump's view that when people have that extra income, that they shouldn't face an extra tax liability.
That means no tax on overtime.
It's a little-known fact that the highest marginal tax rate faced by almost anybody in America is a retired person who, when they get their government-funded retirement payment, then they pay a big tax. And the bottom line is that we're going to fix that by creating an expanded standard deduction.
Slashing taxes on Social Security.
It's little appreciated by non-economists that in 1986, we took away the ability for people who were itemizers to itemize interest on their auto loans. The big, beautiful bill is repairing that policy error.
That means no tax on interest for American-made vehicle purchases.
The bill also introduces a universal 401k for individuals that are new to the economy.
In other words, it's a Trump savings account for newborn babies.
Historically, businesses that buy a new factory have to depreciate it over 39 years. That means, for example, if you have $1 million building, you get a $25,641 deduction each year. But what President Trump wants to do is allow people to get the whole deduction in the first year.
Sounds to me like there's never been a better time to build a factory in America.
All automated with AI and humanoid robots. Sounds like a giant screw job to me. How about we end all individual income taxation stuff? Shout out to you, Barry, wherever you may be. By the way, still no word from Barry, sadly, so we don't know. He's missing in action. Biden labeled ordinary Americans domestic violent extremists, according to Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard. Here's her post about it. Still, no one will get in trouble. Violation of our civil rights, constitutional rights, human rights, natural law. No one gets in trouble. Your government are criminals. They are the crime syndicate known as the federal government. So a Fed here is telling us this. As Director of National Intelligence, I promise to root out and expose the politicization of intelligence. I recently declassified 2 reports that show how the Biden administration labeled Americans who disagree with their policies as potential domestic violent extremists. Isn't the Trump administration doing the same thing right now for those that protest the war there in Aardvark land? I think they are, which was often followed by FBI investigations, surveillance, and government-directed social media censorship. This is a classic ploy to politicize intelligence and the national security state against the American people, undermining our constitutionally guaranteed rights and freedoms. Well, there you go. They admit they're criminals, violating our rights, and no one gets in trouble. So there you have it. Right from the Fed, the official source. So there you go. Your government are criminals. Still are, even though the orange man's there. Sorry to tell you. Okay, what is going on here with this tariffs back and forth as the insiders make a whole boatload of money, and it destabilizes our economy, and the little guy, who cares? You're going to get a tax break for auto loans, right? So who cares? In the big, beautiful bill. This is via Simon again. So shout out to Simon, helping us out how he can here on Weaponized News. What's next after reciprocal tariffs were struck down by the court? If the Court of International Trade's ruling on reciprocal tariffs is upheld, all tariffs collected since April 2nd would need to be refunded based on our calculations, which assume 2024 levels of U.S. imports. This would be roughly $10 billion of tariff revenue. This includes the 10% baseline tariff on all countries, as well as the higher rates imposed on select countries. The U.S. would owe China alone a refund of roughly $3.5 billion. Meanwhile, the Trump administration has already said that they will be appealing the ruling. And then apparently, well, let's take a listen to Hassett on these tariffs. That nerdy guy that we just saw, they make fun of it because they're clowning us about all this big, beautiful bill, if you couldn't tell.
We're very pleased with the ruling. We expected it. The bottom line is that our U.S. Trade Representative, Jamieson Greer, is the best trade thinker in the business, that President Trump's case is ironclad, and the appeals court took almost no time at all. In fact, we're surprised it took till the end of the day for them to overturn this previous ruling. The bottom line is that President Trump's trade team has their eyes on the horizon. They understand that we've got to make America great again by making trade deals fair, by advantaging U.S. producers and U.S. farmers when they sell things in foreign markets, and leveling the playing field at home for foreign products that are brought here. And so this is a big victory for the president. And I just got to say that you also can see, if you just look at the data, that President Trump's vision is working, that we've received $50 to $60 billion in tariff revenue since we've started the tariffs. Inflation has gone down. In fact, if you think about it, the automakers for foreign auto companies are running ads saying they're not going to increase prices. So it's working exactly the way we thought, and we're very pleased with the decision today.
It's on appeal. It's not over. Highly inappropriate for courts to block tariffs, Treasury Secretary says. I'm live on here right now.
Thoughts on this on-again, off-again judicial tug of war over tariffs?
Well, Brett, it seems highly inappropriate for the judiciary to wade in here when the Senate had the opportunity to override the president and didn't. So, in terms of separation of powers, the Senate has chosen not to exercise their powers, and the president absolutely has the right to set the trade agenda for the U.S. This administration is committed to fair trade, and we are striking the best deals for the American people, and anything that the courts do to get in the way, both harms the American people in terms of trade and in terms.
It's still got a lot to sort out in the courts. No, Simon's not here. I was just referencing him as a source for giving me some of this information. MIT scraps DEI office, ends programs, aid Trump's fight with Harvard, headline out of New York Post. And so they're very proud about this, fighting the DEI programs. Continuing here, a little bit about public health. HHS, Health and Human Services, has launched a sweeping deregulation initiative to cut red tape, lower costs, and empower providers, they say. Here's the, you can submit ideas to them for whatever it's worth. Here's the little meme they put out. HHS launches 10-to-1 deregulation plan. For every new regulation, 10 outdated rules must go. Cut healthcare costs for families. Free up providers to focus on patients. Less red tape, more real care. Again, pray and fast. It's free. Free, like Bernie Sanders would say. Here you can make suggestions regulations.gov/deregulation, and you can submit your ideas for deregulation. How about we, maybe I will, I think I may just submit a repeal the PrEP Act. That's not really a regulation, it's a law, but I think I may just tell them that for whatever good it's worth. Probably none, but they need to hear it. They definitely need to hear it. Okay, so thankfully, before Skittles month, Skittles poisons are being removed. You don't need titanium dioxide to make rainbows. Well, that's bigoted and hateful of Bobby Kennedy Jr. to even, I see what he's hinting at here. He's bashing Pride Month. And so pure hate coming out of the Secretary of Health and Human Services. Mars has announced the removal of titanium dioxide from Skittles. I've long been critical of the use of harmful additives in our food, especially when companies are fully capable of producing safer versions for European markets. When corporations take steps that help make our children and America healthy again, it's a move in the right direction. Well, I'd also like to add, it's your choice to stuff this stuff in your face or not. And so this is government overreach, in my opinion. I guess they got to regulate it. I don't know. If people stop buying Skittles from Mars, they would change their formula. So don't be an idiot American. Take some personal responsibility and stop shoving titanium dioxide laden Skittles down your fat face, America. How about that? But government has to step in because you're too fat and stupid and obese Americans to take some personal responsibility for your own health. So now we get government in our lives. Thank you very much. Continuing here, VA-based DOGE associate gets the boot after publicly discussing his work. Allegedly, this guy says that he went into the VA and hunting for inefficiencies and said it was actually not what he expected. It was more efficiently running at the VA than he thought. Shirley Lavinga, an engineer, tech startup founder, and CEO of Gumroad, an e-commerce platform for content creators, wrote in his recent personal blog that he got the boot from DOGE without warning the day after Fast Company Media published an interview in which he spoke about finding less inefficiencies than he had expected in the government. Well, they still have all these outstanding claims for disabled veterans, like 190 something thousand. And remember, we reported a few days ago that the Trump administration has cleaned up 25% of the outstanding claims since they've been in office. So that is a good mark for the Trump administration there. But there's still like 190,000 some odd outstanding claims for VA disability benefits from disabled veterans. So I don't know exactly what this guy's talking about, but I guess that pissed him off enough to fire him from DOGE. But we know the story in the background the whole time is that DOGE was just a setup. It was never about getting rid of government waste, fraud, and abuse. It was a cover to go ahead and implement the AI Palantir systems into all our federal government. And now that's where we are as Musk backs away from DOGE, as this guy backs away from DOGE, and they make up cover stories and they lie like hell because the mission's complete. The real mission was to bring about technocracy, scientific dictatorship, through the automation and AI systems implemented by DOGE in our federal government. And that's the real story that not many people are talking about. And all your idiot Republicans are still, oh, we're DOGE, praise Musk. It's never about that. They lied to you. They gaslighted you. They ran a psyop on you. Nothing new here, right? But that's the program. Someday, Republicans, when a Terminator comes knocking at your door, maybe you'll learn then. I don't know. You'll probably still be praising Elon Musk. I don't know, man. But these people are thick, man. Thick. Let me tell you. Their worship of government is it's going to be the death of us all, I'm telling you. And these order followers in the government. Okay, so here's a liar. Great MAGA hero. Now head of the FBI Director Kash Patel. This is a replay, but is this a replay or a new one? I don't know, but it's part of the segment, so we'll play it again anyway. Kash Patel insists the FBI is not withholding information related to the Epstein case, but is also not in any sort of rush to release it. Let's watch this short clip from Kash Patel. He's a Fed. Don't trust the Feds, but MAGA loves them.
There are. The Epstein thing, you dealt with Maria. You said, as far as you know, he killed himself.
I'm telling you, he killed himself.
The other thing on the internet is the Epstein files. What's the answer to that?
The answer to that is the same as everything else. I'm not going to withhold information from the American public ever, but I'm also not going to rush to get it out there in a format in which they can't rely on it. So on the Epstein matter or any other matters, we are diligently working on that, and it takes time to go through years of investigations, years of political maneuvering, and years
Sorry
of
about that. I
to
do.
get the American people what they deserve.
I'd adjust my background there. Sorry about that. Letting it play over, or did it play over? I don't know. I had a cat attack here in the studio. The perils of live streaming. When cats attack you. When the cats attack your set. Anyway. Okay, flashback to, if everybody can remember, Jeffrey Epstein jail CCTV erased by technical errors. Remember this. So they're saying they're going to release the video. Well, it was erased. Allegedly reported here when he didn't kill himself, right? And so, Dan Bongino cries to Fox News about how much he hates his new FBI job. I gave up everything. Don't you feel bad that he gave up being a propagandist for the government on the on his podcast show and radio show or whatever, and now he's just a straight up Fed? He's always been a Fed. There's no difference. Wake the hell up, people. This guy's always been a Fed. He was a Fed when he was a great MAGA patriot on his show. He's a Fed now. This guy will always be a Fed. Wake the hell up, man. People are thick, I'm telling you. Dan Bongino promises Jeffrey Epstein video to prove no one was there but him. But wait a minute. It has already been reported there is no video. So somebody's lying here, right? It's the Feds. Let's watch this video. Oh, and they're gonna get Comey now. So they love to throw out these limited hangout psyops to keep people's wheels spinning. It's just bullshit, man. Here's Bongino talking about we found it. We found it in bags hiding under Jim Comey's FBI. You're gonna be stunned, really. So the FBI just leaves around incriminating evidence for this Fed to find. Really?
Of Jim Comey, because he cannot control himself and his emotions. He is a child. He is a big child. And let me tell you one more thing. Look at Jim Comey, who wants you to believe. Jim Comey taking a shot at the president. Oh, look at me. I'm such a victim. The president's going after me. He's making a ton of money on this book. The only person that got prosecuted was the president. Jim Comey, we're finding stuff even now. Wait till you read the stuff that's coming out.
Does he still have loyalists in the building? Because when I hear the FBI director saying, you guys are finding boxes that are hidden, okay, how does that happen in the Bureau?
Well, we were there a couple of weeks, and luckily there were a lot of people up there who grabbed us by the arm the minute we came in and said, "Thank you for being here. You know, we need to talk." There are people there who are really horrified at what happened. And there was a room, and we found.
This just pisses me off so bad. They're all a bunch of pussies. You're the FBI. You got a badge and a gun. Arrest the criminals that would be in your own FBI. They don't do it. They're all criminals. It just pisses me off, this nonsense.
Stuff, a lot of stuff.
A hidden room.
I wouldn't call it hidden, but hidden from us at least, and not mentioned to us. And then we found stuff in there, and a lot of it's from the Comey era, and we are working our damnedest right now to declassify. And just so you know, because I get the public, I totally understand people saying, well, do it now. The process is not all the information is ours to declassify. Some is other intelligence agencies. It's not, we literally can't do it. Once that gets done and that gets out there and you read some of the stuff we found that, by the way, was not processed through the normal procedure, digitizing it, putting in FBI records. We found it in bags hiding under Jim Comey's FBI. Quickly, you're going to be stunned.
The shells on the beach.
Yeah, Jim Comey and the rest of the corrupt FBI just left all the evidence laying around there in bags. Bullshit. Here's Bongino on, yeah, Epstein did kill himself. Again.
Those two cases obviously are of significant public interest. I'm just telling you what we see in the file. I just want to be crystal clear on this. I am not asking anyone to believe me. I'm telling you what's there and what isn't. Right. There is nothing in the file at this point on the Epstein case, and there's going to be a disclosure on this coming shortly. We are working through there is video. That is something the public does not.
There's video of him killing himself.
No, not the actual act, but the entire MCC Bay. It was only one camera. There's video that when you look at the video, and we will release. That's what's taken a while on this. We are working on cleaning it up to make sure you have an enhanced, and we're going to give the original so you don't think there were any shenanigans. You're going to see there's no one there but him. Right. There's just nobody there. So I say to people all the time, if you have a tip, let us know. But there's no DNA, there's no audio, there's no fingerprints, there's no suspects, there's no accomplices, there's no tips, there is nothing. If you have it, I'm happy to see it. There's video clear as day. He's the only person in there and the only person coming out.
So the great MAGA patriots that are taking down the deep state are now covering up the Epstein. There you have it. What a joke these guys are, man. Never trust the government. Never trust the feds. They're all feds. Okay, on to some funny news after this depressing, just sickening display of corruption. Apologies for the government from feds. It's just but MAGA loves them all. It's just beyond the pale, man. It's beyond the pale. They were the government feds under Comey. They're the government feds under friggin' Ray. They're the government feds under Cash Patel. And again, if there's good people, you take your gun and you arrest the bad, corrupt guys. Never happen because there are no good ones. Jesus. This is like first grade stuff, man. But MAGA can't wrap and right-wingers can't wrap their thick skulls around the idea that the entire government, even if it's your guy, are corrupt, criminal, just beyond the pale, man. How many times are we just going to keep falling for this BS? On to some happier news now. It's now making the rounds on the interwebs, and of course, liberal left-wingers are taking full advantage of it, and I find it rather entertaining myself because Trump is an actor. He's a clown, and it's embarrassing, honestly, at this point. But again, the right-wingers, they'll probably fight me over it. I don't care anymore at this point. It's just sickening. So we reported yesterday that Wall Street acronym for Trump always chickens out, TACO, is now being circulated around the interwebs, and they're making a bunch of these memes about it. And I think it's actually pretty funny. And here's the thumbnail if you didn't get a chance to see it for today's show. And then we'll show some other ones. And this shall be a funny segment after the ranting about the corrupt government there. Sorry about that, but the stuff gets under my skin. And there's a bunch of people defending it who 5 months ago were telling me that they were saying the same thing. But now your guy's in and everything's great. It's not great. I'm sorry to tell you. And so there's a few AI generated memes that I was able to find. But here's some more. Let's see here. We have the clip. I think we have a clip. Can we get it to play? Here you go. Here's a reporter. I think it's from yesterday, maybe today.
Mr. President, Wall Street analysts have coined a new term called the taco trade. They're saying Trump always chickens out on your tariff threats, and that's why markets are higher this week. What's your response to that?
I kick out?
Chicken out.
Oh, and then I chicken out. I've never heard that. You mean because I reduced China from 145% that I set down to 100 and then down to another number? And I said you have to open up your whole country. And because I gave the European Union a 50% tax tariff, and they called up and they said, please, let's meet right now. Please, let's meet right now. And I said, okay, I'll give you till July 9. I actually asked them, I said, what's the date? Because they weren't willing to meet. And after I did what I did, they said, we'll meet anytime you want. And we have an end date of July 9th. You call that chickening out? Because we have $14 trillion now invested, committed to investing when Biden didn't have.
Trump always chickens out. Here you go. They're having fun. I'm not even on there, but it was linked up in this article. Maybe I should go over there. I don't know. I don't know if I can handle the left wingers, but they're having fun over there on the Blue Sky app. Maybe I should go over there. And then remember, YouTube, I guess, if you hate Trump, according to, or you don't hate him, you will never, YouTube, what did he say? John Bronson from, we've read the documents. He got his YouTube account back after telling YouTube through an appeal that he will fight till his last breath exposing Trump, something like this, to paraphrase. Well, I'm the same way here. So YouTube, just to let you guys know, you should give me a boost over there. We're exposing Trump all over the place. Here's one more, and then we'll go to a video, a pretty funny video. The Taco Man. Tariffs on, tariffs off. Tariffs higher, tariffs lower. Trump always chickens out. Please do not repost this. Mr. Trump gets very upset when people mock him. Does he? I thought he could take a joke. He's always joking around. Come on, Trump. You can take a joke. And it just goes on and on and on the Blue Sky app. They are having a good time over there. But like I said, I don't know how much of this left-winger nonsense I could take. Okay. Here is, we'll probably get flagged for copyright, but this is a flashback to Donald Trump, 2004 Saturday Night Live skit. Let's take a look. We'll take a risk because I think it's worth it for the laughs in context of Taco Trump today.
Cock-a-doodle-doo, folks. I'm Donald Trump.
It's Donald Trump's long-lost Saturday Night Live sketch from 11 years ago.
Trump, you know our wings will make you happy. Trumpy!
Trump dances with SNL cast members dressed as chickens in this commercial for Donald Trump's House of Wings.
Come on, get the dancers back.
For some reason, the sketch has been deleted from the official DVD, giving rise to all sorts of conspiracy theories. Somebody doesn't want you to see this sketch.
The sketch, by the way, has actually been removed, I don't know why, from Hulu, from some of SNL's greatest hits. It's unclear why.
You know.
Dressed in a yellow suit and yellow tie, Trump was surrounded by 2004 cast members Amy Poehler, Maya Rudolph, Seth Meyers, and Kenan Thompson. Trump has been a favorite SNL target for years and managed to joke about his image when he hosted in 2004.
It's great to be here at Saturday Night Live, but I'll be completely honest. It's even better for Saturday Night Live that I'm here.
Now here's more lost footage from 1989 when Trump was sitting in the audience for SNL's 15th anniversary show and Chevy Chase dumped popcorn on him. The Republican presidential frontrunner will be hosting SNL on November 7th, and it's already stirring controversy. The nation's largest Hispanic civil rights organization calls it a slap in the face.
Well, there you go. We saw it. So there you go. Taco. Trump always chickens out. And he even did a Saturday Night Live chicken sketch to prove that point back in 2004. So there you go. And Denver's saying that they're all aardvark assets. Trump said he's the king of aardvark land, right? So they're all aardvark assets at this point. It's just beyond ridiculous. MSNBC is working to build its podcast portfolio. Isn't this good of them? Up next, Nicole Wallace show. Who would listen to this crap? Like, I love to be propagandized and lied to. Let me tune into Michelle Wallace show. Like, what? Really? But of course, she's going to have all this big backing, funding, advertising campaign, and all the rest of it still propping her up, and the rest of these Mockingbird media clowns as if they're legitimate. And so, you know what I mean? That's what we're up against here now. So they've destroyed cable news with their lies and propaganda, and nobody will even watch it anymore. So now they have to go destroy the podcasting space with their propaganda and lies, and probably no one will watch that anymore. You know what I mean? I don't blame people. It's just like, so yeah, we look forward to Michelle Wallace from CNBC or MSNBC, excuse me, and her new podcast coming out. What a joke. What a joke these people are, man. Arizona Supreme Court turns AI-generated reporters to AI-generated reporters to deliver the news. Can we get a report about this? No, maybe not. When the Arizona Supreme Court handed down its ruling in a pair of arson and DUI cases this month, the announcement wasn't delivered by a judge or spokesperson, but instead it was delivered by two AI avatars that are virtually indistinguishable from real people. Daniel and Victoria are the newest computer-generated faces of the Arizona Supreme Court. I don't like this, man. I don't like this at all. See, they tricked me here. Anyway, I had this problem yesterday. I should have foresaw it with trying to play the report, and they load up a bunch of commercials before it, and I thought it was ready, but apparently not. Again, same problem. My apologies. As I wait till to get through this commercial so I could show you the report, and hopefully we can see the AI avatars. So yeah, they're taking Americans' jobs. Here we go. Nope, this is not the right report either. AI plus human tutors equals equation for math success. That's embedded in this report. Anyway, I will have to look. And they didn't give us, they gave us some other report video. I don't know, man. Maybe if I watched their podcast, I'd be more informed over there at NBC. I think this is it now, maybe. No, we got to wait for the stupid commercial again. Apologies again. My bad. My bad here, as we're trying to get through as much news as we possibly can in our limited time together. Again, thank you for joining us. I think this is it finally. I had it loaded, and then, I don't know, maybe I screwed it up. Anyway, here it is, AI generated from the court. I don't think this is legitimate, honestly. Is the court legitimate? Probably not.
Impression time.
In a world full of deepfakes,
it's Taylor Swift here.
Hold on a second. Big flag.
What happens when the face of your official source of information isn't human, it's AI?
The Arizona Supreme Court has...
Meet Victoria and Daniel, the official AI avatars for the Arizona Supreme Court.
Hey there, I'm Victoria, one of the Arizona Supreme Court's new AI generated court news reporters.
Why? Why are you doing this?
Why? I think it's just an efficient way for us to get news out.
Alberto Rodriguez is a public information officer for the court and helped design his digital co-workers.
So traditional production obviously takes quite amount of manpower.
And how much time does it take for Victoria to do it here?
It takes minutes.
I gotta admit, when she says, I'm Victoria, a news reporter, like my human feelings get hurt as a news reporter.
Yeah.
Do you see this ever replacing like news reporters?
I don't think so.
Arizona's Chief Justice Ann Timmer says it's important to note that everything you hear the avatars say is actually written by the justices themselves.
For years, we took it for granted that of course you trust the courts, of course you trust judges. We're doing our best, but if people don't believe that, it doesn't matter.
However, there are a lot of people out there that don't trust AI.
That's true, but they have to remember this AI, at least that we're using, it's not generative.
The justices said that even if she didn't mean to violate the rules, her act...
And while the avatars might become the most forward-facing example of AI in the legal system, Justice Timmer points out the law profession is already using AI every day for things like research to document review and analysis.
I come here today a humble pro se
before a panel. One plaintiff in New York even trying to use AI to argue his case before a skeptical appeals panel.
Shut that off!
But with more AI come concerns over instances of AI models citing cases that never existed and potential bias and discrimination that's often found when tapping into large data sets.
I don't see if what your concern is, that, which is a valid one, that will use AI to start substituting for judgment. I don't think that will ever happen.
All ethical concerns in a new era that could end up before Arizona's high court, decided by human justices, but disseminated by something else. Gotti Schwartz, NBC News, Phoenix, Arizona.
Isn't that cute? And he wonders why he's going to be replaced by AI, because you're too cute there, buddy, NBC reporter. You're too cute. It's all cute and funny. None of it's legitimate. The court isn't legitimate now. It's not cute and funny. It's horrific. It's part of scientific dictatorship technocracy, literally thrown in her face. And the very large majority out there literally have no idea what I'm even talking about. It's horrific. Continuing here. New York Times agrees first AI deal with Amazon. Paper will license its editorial content to e-commerce giant to train its artificial intelligence models. So isn't that good to know? Amazon's AI is going to be trained by the lying New York Times. So there you go. AI is going to be it's going to be a lot slicker, but same lies that your funny and cute Mockingbird media tells you today. Same propaganda and lies. It's going to be a lot slicker. And they're taking humans out of the equation. That's a report out of the Financial Times. There you have it. All right, we're at the top of the hour here. And so we will take our live commercial break. Everybody go to weaponizednews.com, get yourself some stickers over there. The holograph sticker as we prepare for Pride Month here. You can see all the colors of the rainbow. There is no titanium dioxide in this that I know of. Don't eat it. It is for display on your laptop, your bumper, your guitar, your workstation, your Cybertruck, wherever it may be. We got this one, the holograph, the white background, and then we also have the clear background. Go to weaponizednews.com. Get yourself some stickers over there. We appreciate the support. Thank you to all the subscribers that we have. All sounds funny, few and far between, but those that are subscribers, we do appreciate the contribution, as we're I don't think I've missed a show in a long time. You know what I mean? So I'm working my butt off over here to bring you independent, alternative reporting and analysis like no one else on the interwebs here at Weaponized News. So we do appreciate our supporters, few and far between. Give us a subscription if you can, as cable news is dying. So stop paying for cable news and pay for some weaponized news. How about that idea? Here's a word from our sponsor. Go to weaponizednews.com. Here's a word from our sponsor, Abazaba Enterprises.
Running a small business feeling overwhelmed by numbers and paperwork? Abazaba Enterprises has your back. Our expert business solutions include accounting, QuickBooks support, payroll, taxes, and top-notch consulting. Let us handle the details so you can focus on growing your business. Business Solutions Accounting, QuickBooks, Consulting, Payroll, Taxes. Call 559-577-9250. Call Abazaba Enterprises today at 559-577-9250.
And by the way, if you guys didn't know, Abazaba Enterprises is me, so you'll be calling me. Just to let you know, I have to be my own sponsor over here. So support Abazaba Enterprises if you need any help in any of those business matters aforementioned in that commercial. Okay, continuing here. What else do we got? We're on to our geopolitical section, and this is One World Government, UN Agenda 2030 marches forward. But first, a word from our Treasury Secretary regarding stalled trade talks with China.
And what about China, specifically China, and that obviously started in a different place. How can you characterize those talks now?
I would say that they are a bit stalled. I believe that we will be having more talks with them in the next few weeks, and I believe we may at some point have a call between the president and party chair Xi.
So stalled. There was a time when the president thought that it was moving forward pretty significantly.
Again, I think that given the magnitude of the talks, given the complexity, that this is going to require both leaders to weigh in with each other. They have a very good relationship, and I am confident that the Chinese will come to the table when President Trump makes his preferences known.
All right, so let me go.
Now, yeah, it was a big, beautiful trade deal, and everything was going to be fine. Okay, here's the aforementioned from Simon. Again, shout out, credit to Simon for bringing this to my attention, as he is a deep researcher in geopolitical matters, as everyone knows. Here it is, joint statement of the third China Pacific Island countries foreign ministers meeting. Like, who even reads this stuff but Simon, right? But he does, and he finds the nuggets, and that's why we do appreciate his deep research and understanding of world affairs and geopolitics. But here it is. Here it is, and he even gave me the, so we can cut through all of this stuff and go right to section 5 here. This is the, they say the quiet part out loud. Pacific Island countries acknowledge the Global Development Initiative and Global Security Initiative and the Global Civilization Initiative proposed by President Xi Jinping there, and will work with China to advance the building of a community with a shared future for mankind. China welcomes more Pacific Island countries to join the group of friends of the Global Development Initiative to help accelerate the implementation of the UN Agenda 2030 agenda for sustainable development. All parties called on the international community to provide Pacific island countries with more technological, financial, and humanitarian support to help them achieve independent and sustainable development. China stated that it will continue to support and assist Pacific Island countries as it can in economic development and livelihood improvement. Here you go. The key part right here. Group of friends of the Global Development Initiative to help accelerate the implementation of the UN 2030 agenda for sustainable development. So there you go. Don't forget, that's all going on in the background as we praise MAGA and Trump, and he's saved America, making it great again. All of this is going on in the background. I believe it's a grander scheme to shift the power, as I said, from the West, America, to the East, China and Russia. All part of a bigger global conspiracy there. Continuing. That horrific glacier collapse here in Birch Glacier collapse in Switzerland. Let's take a little look at this report. This is quite striking indeed. So here it is in Switzerland. So here is the glacier collapse, Swiss glacier collapse. Bering Village video satellites show Blatten before and after. And so the community of 300 had to be evacuated prior to the collapse of the Birch Glacier, but at least one 64-year-old man is still missing. 90% of the Britain, Switzerland, is engulfed by ice, mud, and rock. So here it is on the map. Let me make this size smaller here. Here it is on the map for everybody to see. And then here is the houses at the bottom of the hill there. Rocks and mud cover most of the village. And then we see, there it is, down there you see. And here's the before and after. The before and the after. And then here's video of the actual glacier collapse. Indeed, there, Denver, it does overlap with the Global Development Initiative does overlap with Belt and Road. Belt and Road's China's role in it, in implementing it, right? So it does indeed overlap. So luckily, only one man apparently is missing after that. But hey, it wouldn't have happened if we didn't. It was man-made climate change that did it, right? Because glaciers have never collapsed before, and so if we would pay more carbon tax, then it wouldn't have happened. So I blame humans for being bad and exhaling CO2. No, but seriously, that is sad that it wiped out that whole little village. Crazy, right? Okay, moving on. Foreign aid is not free. It's disguised it's economic slavery in disguise. Here's Professor Lumba breaking down how Africa is trapped in debt, not helped by it. Well, we were first informed of this on a mass scale by remember John Perkins, the economic hitman. We played a clip from him like last week or something. But anyway, he told us, as if we didn't already know, maybe at that time we didn't, or it was rumored it was a conspiracy, but it was confirmed by him working for the IMF and World Bank that indeed developing countries are conned by the central bank cartel, the IMF, World Bank, and others to go ahead, and they're corrupt dictators in many, or just the government. All government is inherently corrupt. So they go in there and they say, we're going to help you develop your country. And all you need to do is put up your natural resources as collateral for our fiat loan that we're going to give you. And we know that you're going to steal a bunch of it and probably never even pay it off. And so it's a good deal for us because we're just going to go ahead and take your natural resources for our fiat made up money that we gave you, that we created out of nothing on a computer. But we're going to take the real natural resources when, in fact, you do default on these loans. And we know that you will because you're so damn corrupt, you're going to steal a bunch of it and so on. Here's this African professor reiterating this point. And still, we have all these global institutions that are helping the third world because we care about the poor people. They're still the third world and poor and not developed. Seems like a scam to me. I don't know.
And we have seen this in quite a number of countries where ports have been given. We have seen this in a number of countries, mines being given. We have seen countries where their natural resources are mortgaged for several years so that money is advanced on the understanding that oil will be extracted or some kind of minerals will be extracted. And all of these only boil down to one thing, that it creates economic slavery. It creates economic slavery because you then cease to control your affairs. And it also is a danger to the stability of many countries because the prescription that many of these institutions make is simple. If you want to pay our money, then you have to tax your population. And you don't not only have to tax your population, but you also have to spread the tax base. We have seen it in a number of countries where countries hold the view that they can tax themselves out of debt and tax themselves into prosperity. And that is a mirage. It is a chimera, which even if you chase, you never find.
Make your people even poorer. Give up your natural resources for this fiat money we just made up. It's such a friggin' scam. You know what I mean? And then the banks laugh all the way to the bank, literally, with your real tangible resources and not developing your economy and keeping you in poverty. Isn't it wonderful? Here is old Orban out of Hungary. I think he's speaking in Hungarian, but we do have subtitles here. He says, European dream was stolen by Brussels. You think?
Mi lesz velünk? Mi lesz az európaiak álmával? Nekünk is volt egy álmunk. A mi európai álmunk arról szólt, hogy ha mi európai népek összefogunk, akkor nem lesz többé háború. Akkor jólétben és biztonságban élhetünk. Dolgozzunk együtt. A szuverén államok fogjanak össze, és hozzuk létre a világ legbiztonságosabb és legfejlettebb kontinensét. Ez volna az Európai Unió, az európai integráció. De barátaim, ezt az álmot elrabolták. Brüsszel rabolta el.
We did not see this coming out of Brussels, right? Does that clip? Yeah, I did see that actually. Maybe we'll have to come back to this tomorrow and read through the full statement from China, because I did see Snarky comment there. Snarky guy, shout out to Snarky guy. He says, "What in the world is 2050 strategy for Blue Pacific continent to make greater contributions to regional prosperity and development?" Well, you have Agenda 2030, Agenda 2050, and beyond. But that does probably warrant a deeper dive that we'll have to do tomorrow, as I'm trying to get through all of this for you guys today, everything I have on my plate. Okay, continuing here. Maybe we will, Starkey guy, thank you for that comment. We will take another look at this this press release or joint statement from China tomorrow, because there is some more meat to dig into there. Okay, continuing. It looks like, according to Prime Minister Modi there out of India, that the Operation Sindoor, the retaliation against the alleged Pakistani terrorist attacks there in India, is still going on. He says, "We entered their territory and struck them 3 times. Operation Sindoor is not over yet." So we may see some more flare-ups here between India and Pakistan. Let's watch this clip.
और पाकिस्तान समझ ले 3 बार घर में घुस करके मारा है तुम्हें। हम शक्ति को पूजने वाले लोग, हम महिषासुर मर्दिनी को पूजते हैं। बंगाल टाइगर की इस धरती से 140 करोड़ भारतीयों का ऐलान है। ऑपरेशन सिंदूर अभी खत्म नहीं हुआ है।
Damn, man, they have the spirit of a Bengal tiger. Don't mess with India. You never see that guy fired up. He's all fired up still. So we'll continue to track that situation, as it seemed to be dying down. And it didn't look like it was going to escalate. But he says the operation's still going. So look for more Indian strikes in Pakistan. Here is a deal on offer now. Is Russia's best possible outcome U.S. at UN Security Council? Really? I think Russia holds all the cards here, but let's hear from United States.
As President Trump has made clear, we want to work with Russia, including on this peace initiative and an economic package. There is no military solution to this conflict. The deal on offer now is Russia's best possible outcome. President Putin should take the deal. The alternative, continuing to wage the war, would not be in anyone's interest, including Russia's.
Well, we're going to find out if they can sort something out on Monday, June 2nd, as we await the next phase of peace talks between Ukraine and Russia. Trump has been giving Putin 2 weeks since April 27th. Let's watch this mashup of clips. This is, and where are we at now? A month later, right? May 29th. Let's give him another 2 weeks. Better than going to war with Russia. Shit.
You trust President Putin? You know, in about 2 weeks.
Is Ukraine doing enough to get this?
I'd rather tell you in about 2 weeks from now.
You keep saying 2 weeks about President Putin. What is 2 weeks? Give us, what is the actual date? What is the timeline?
2 weeks or less, and if it's a little more at the time, I say, but, you know, they're losing a lot of people.
Do you believe the Russians are being disrespectful when they say that your criticisms of Putin are simply an emotional response? And do you still believe that Putin actually wants to end the war?
I can't tell you that, but I'll let you know in about 2 weeks. Within 2 weeks, we're going to find out very soon we're going to find out whether or not he's tapping us along or not. And if he is, we'll respond a little bit differently, but it'll take.
It's always 2 weeks. Yeah, I'll let Trump be a taco on this one. Just keep bullshitting, and we don't need a direct war with Russia. It's bad enough we're in a proxy war with Russia right now. Here is U.S. envoy Kellogg. He says U.S. taking advice from Ukraine, Germany, France, and UK. And so that's why Trump is getting bad information, because he's getting it from the aggressors in this war here now.
And these are the things that when we get into Istanbul next week, we'll sit down and talk. What does it look like? What are your feelings on it? And we'll have what we call the E3 with us. That is the national security advisors from Germany, France, and Great Britain. And they're kind of, when we were in London, they kind of helped us mold the term sheet for Ukraine. And they'll be there as well. And we'll get their feedback as well.
Well, not good of them. War profiteers there. As it was announced yesterday, Germany's going to give Ukraine all these new missiles or capabilities to manufacture them. And now Russia says if they're hit in Moscow by a long-range missile strike from Ukraine, they're going to go ahead and strike Germany. And so it looks like that's what they want, is a full escalation in Europe and bring all of Europe into, and NATO, bring NATO into war directly with Russia is what they've been wanting a long time here now. And they may just get it.
So just some of the notes that I took, there is this report that Putin has outlined these conditions for ending the war, including demanding Western leaders pledge in writing that NATO won't expand eastward. Is President Trump willing to make that kind of commitment to Putin that NATO won't expand?
Well, I think it's a fair concern. And we've said that repeatedly. Like we've said that to us, Ukraine coming into NATO is not on the table. And we're not the only country that says that. You know, I can probably give you 4 of the countries in NATO, and it takes 32 of the 32 to allow you to come into NATO. And we've seen other countries say, no, we're not too sure about that. And that's one of the issues that Russia will bring up. And they're not just talking Ukraine. They're talking the country of Georgia. They're talking Moldova. They're talking, obviously, Ukraine. And we're saying, okay, comprehensively, you know, we can stop the expansion of NATO coming close to your border. That's security concerns for them.
Putin's the most evil man in the world. How dare him not want NATO missiles right on his border, right? That's what started this whole thing. That and other issues, overthrowing Ukraine and putting NATO missiles on the border. But as an unprovoked invasion, as we know, Putin's the most evil man in the world, YouTube. And we know that. I think we've established that. By decision of the heads of state of the Eurasian Economic Union, today is celebrated Eurasian Economic Union Day. And so here's their nice little flag. This is via Simon again. And so giving him credit for letting us know that we should celebrate the Eurasian Economic Union Day today. Well, happy doodah for that. Okay. Yeah, I'm not even going to show the clip because they'll say you showed, like, I don't know, something bad, right? But you can go find the clip if you want to see the suicide bomber walk up to Russian Major Zuger Gutsenev. He had directed the aerial bombardment during the Battle of Mariupol, and he was killed by a suicide bomber last night in Strovopol. Should we play it? We'll just show the still image so as not to upset the interwebs censorship program. But here it is. This guy walks up to him and blows himself up and kills this guy, the major there, Russian. And so I'm not going to play the clip, but you can go find it if you want. If you want to see a suicide bomber blow himself up in this Russian. Okay. Continuing here. Little Marco. Aren't they all aardvark agents? Here's little Marco. Secretary of State Little Marco, he says vigorous new visa policy, as reported yesterday, will prevent aardvark critics from entering the United States. Well, hell, they should arrest them for criticizing aardvark land genocide, war crimes, shouldn't they now? Rubio said U.S. will hold international organizations and nations accountable for rhetoric against aardvark land. I know, God forbid you point out war crimes. Let's hear from Little Marco here. Should we hear the full clip? I don't know how much we could stomach of it. Let's hear the full clip right from the State Department, your Secretary of State and mine, Little Marco Rubio.
I want to begin by thanking Foreign Minister Saar for this kind invitation, and I regret that I cannot be with you all in person. Golda Meir once said, "It took Moses 40 years to find the only place in the Middle East with no oil." But Israel's wealth lay not under the ground, but in its people, the Jewish people, exiles, pilgrims, and dreamers from around the world who made the desert bloom into a high-tech superpower. Israel accomplished this miracle not by abandoning its history and identity, but by embracing them. Sadly, some of Israel's neighbors have failed to appreciate how following Israel's example could have brought prosperity to the region. Instead, they chose war. They decided to impoverish their people in a futile effort to destroy Israel. They succeeded in the former, while failing in the latter. Anti-Semitism is the world's oldest bigotry, and given that we are all here today, it is also the world's most futile. Egyptian pharaohs, Roman emperors, Persian shahs, and Middle Eastern despots have sought to destroy the nation of Israel. Adolf Hitler dreamed of a world without Jews, an idea he shares with Hamas. Today, these regimes and empires have crumbled into dust, but Israel stands, and the Jewish people prosper. I pray for the day when the entire world will recognize the futility of anti-Semitism, when leaders will abandon self-destructive hatred and forge a new future in partnership with Israel by building on the Abraham Accords. Under President Trump's leadership, there are signs that the future may be closer than we dared dream. But only if we can overcome the futile, persistent evil of anti-Semitism can we reach that future. Earlier this year, I stood beside Foreign Minister Saar at the Yad Vashem Memorial. I remembered the millions of Jews who were slaughtered and reflected on the meaning of the words, "never again." The importance of those words were brought home to every American last week when Yaron Lashinsky and Sarah Milgram were murdered in cold blood outside of the Capitol Jewish Museum here in Washington, D.C. Yaron was a Christian born in Germany who came to love the Jewish state. Sarah was from Kansas and loved Yaron. They dreamed of marrying in Jerusalem, and instead, they were cut down in cold blood by a monster who did not care about Yaron's faith or Sarah's background. We should never forget that as he was being arrested after killing 2 innocents who he believed were Jews, the murderer proudly screamed, "Free, free Palestine." Words that now serve as a battle cry for the death of Jews, the destruction of Israel, and the horrors we must never again allow. There can be no compromise with anti-Semitism. There can be no nuanced separation of hatred of Israel and hatred of the Jewish people. Those who call to boycott Israel are calling for the boycott of their Jewish neighbors and classmates. Those who call for violence against Israelis are calling for violence against Jews. Those who call for the destruction of Israel are calling for the destruction of the Jewish people. That is why, as we extend our prayers to Yaron and Sarah's loved ones, we must stand in solidarity with Israel. There can be no coexistence with evil. There can be no nuance to hatred. Under President Trump, the United States will stand with the Jewish people. We have implemented a vigorous new visa policy that will prevent foreign nationals from coming to the United States to foment hatred against our Jewish community. We are holding international organizations and nations accountable for rhetoric against Israel that resurfaces in the manifesto of monsters, like Yaron and Sarah's killer. But we do see an eventual light at the end of this long tunnel of suffering. One can imagine a Middle East in which the Abraham Accords eventually reign. So thank you for the opportunity to address you.
So see, aren't they all Aardvark agents? I think they are. Well, he didn't know anything about that, Denver, about his brother being a cocaine dealer. You know what I mean? They don't have any dirt on Marco. He's a MAGA patriot. He was a neocon for the longest time. Still is a neocon. Loves the war, but he has better rhetoric now, that's for sure. But always the Aardvark deep in his heart from Cuba, right? So yeah, Aardvark strikes kill 62 more Palestinians over the last 24 hours. At least 23 were killed in heavy Aardvark strikes on a refugee camp there in central Gaza. So there you go. There you go, man. The genocide continues. Now, if you guys can stomach this, I think it's worth a watch to show what a psycho our shadow president, Bibi, is with this little kid. It's in there. Got something caught in my throat language, but do we have, let's see. Oh no, it's actually in English, but we do have it for your viewing pleasure there in the subtitles. So let's watch this sickening display of boasting and propagandizing the greatness of genocide by Bibi here and a little kid.
שלום, בוא שב, איך קוראים לך? בוא שב איתי כאן, שב כאן. כן. מה רצית לשאול אותך?
דבר ראשון, אני לא רוצה לשאול כלום, רוצה להגיד לך תודה. תודה למה שאתה עושה לעם ישראל, בכל החזיתות. בכל השבע חזיתות, השורית, האיראנית, הלבנונית, העזתית, כולם.
בן כמה אתה?
8.
בוא נעשה משהו. ואתה עוקב אחרי, יש לך סיכוי טוב מאוד.
יש לי, אני קצת שואל.
העניבה שלך מאוד מוצאת חן בעיניי. אני לא בטוח למה אני רוצה להגיד דברים מאוד קשים ונדבר. החמאס, הסיבה שלוקח זמן להביס את החמאס, כי אנחנו רוצים...
Sorry about that. Thought he did go to English. Was I tripping? Maybe I was tripping. I don't know. Could have swore he said... No, maybe not. I thought he was... I thought that he had... That was in English. Sorry about that. And their translation is also in language. So sorry about that. Could have swore. Maybe I saw a different version where it was translated in English or something. Anyway, he's just going over how great, glorifying genocide in this interview with this 8-year-old kid. It's like, who even... Just this stuff, man. It's like... It's pure evil. It's just beyond the pale, man. Okay, here is, and this is in English, Aardvark ambassador to the UK says it's very unpatriotic for former Aardvark leaders to criticize the war, insisting it's the most justified war in the world. Literally killing people that they're trying to starve to death. If they don't shoot you or bomb you, they're going to starve you to death. It's justified. Let me tell you, because Hamas is hiding underneath that rubble somewhere. Piers Morgan has even changed his tone and said, wow, it really is genocide. It only took them, 2.5 years or whatever. But even this joker, Piers Morgan's coming around to the reality of the situation.
Incredibly damning comments from 2 former prime ministers of Israel and a former deputy chief of staff of the Israeli army. When you hear what they have to say, surely it gives you pause for thought, doesn't it?
Well, it's quite obvious for someone like you that understands politics that those people are coming from the opposition. Their job, in their opinion, is to fight whatever the government is doing. I think it's very anti-patriotic not to support Israel's war when we are fighting the most justified war in the world against a terror group that committed the worst atrocities at the 7th of October. Just today, we remember 600 days that we still have 58 hostages in captivity. And I'm afraid to say, nowadays in Israel, you can't find even one leader that will say he's willing to live with Hamas on its doorstep. So if those people have any criticism, they should offer a plan how Hamas will be removed from the Gaza Strip.
Well, they had a plan, the two-party solution there. Yeah, they don't want to live with the Palestinians because, you know, you'll be genocided too. Houthis launched a ballistic missile at Aardvark land. Let's hear from the Yemeni armed forces.
القوة الصاروخية في القوات المسلحة اليمنية عملية عسكرية استهدفت مطار اللد المسمى إسرائيليا مطار بن غوريون في منطقة يافا المحتلة، وذلك بصاروخ باليستي فرط صوتي. وقد حققت العملية هدفها بنجاح بفضل الله، وأجبرت ملايين الصهاينة المحتلين على الهروب إلى الملاجئ ووقف حركة الملاحة في المطار. تؤكد القوات المسلحة اليمنية لكافة أبناء شعبنا اليمني المؤمن المجاهد أنها بعون الله تعالى مستمرة في تأدية واجبها الديني والأخلاقي والإنساني تجاه إخواننا في فلسطين حتى وقف العدوان عليهم ورفع الحصار عنهم.
Surprisingly enough, the United States has, I haven't seen any reports of them bombing Yemen. Of course, this was, they say they're doing it, which I believe they probably are, to support the Palestinians the best they can there. But this was in retaliation also to Aardvark's blew up their airport again. Yesterday, right? We reported on that. Aardvark say they shot down that missile. Who knows? Old Houthi man there says the operation was successful. So both sides are claiming victory in the latest exchange. I'd expect more bombing of Yemen by Aardvarks, obviously. Aardvark warplanes targeted outskirts of southern Lebanon, bombing the hell out of southern Lebanon. Maybe there's, I guess there's Hezbollah there, right? So there's Hezbollah under every rock. There's Hamas every rock as they continue to bomb residential neighborhoods. And remember, there's a ceasefire. Funny how their ceasefires work in Aardvark land. They say, "Oh, we're calling a ceasefire," but the bombings continue. It's just beyond the pale, man. Mercenaries from American security company tasked with overseeing aid distribution fire riot-controlled grenades on civilians at the newly opened U.S. aid distribution point there in central Gaza. I guess we can show this clip. I don't think anyone's being killed here. Just getting some crowd control grenades fired at them. That's perfectly fine as they're trying to get food.
برموا قنابل على الناس. هيو كمان. الله يفضحك.
So like, oh, you're here for food? How about you have a grenade instead? Jeez, man. I don't mean to make light of it, but what do you even say at this point? You have to laugh to keep from crying here. It is horrific. The siege there continues. The blockade of food, water, energy, medical supplies. It continues as a little bit of aid gets through. If You want some bread? How about a grenade instead? So Aardvark land faces growing condemnation as Gaza aid distribution devolves into chaos, as we just saw there. That's a headline out of CNN. Let's put it on the screen here. So Aardvark land is facing growing international pressure as aid distribution efforts in Gaza devolve into chaos during the first days of a controversial new mechanism backed by America and Aardvark land. According to the Palestinian Health Ministry, 11 people have been killed and dozens injured as crowds of desperate people arrived at the distribution sites in southern Gaza. Hey, we got some food for you over here. Here's a piece of bread. Oh, no, sorry, it was a grenade. Sorry about it. You could easily confuse a grenade for a piece of bread, right? Aardvark land accepts new U.S. proposal for ceasefire with Hamas. Aardvark officials say. Total BS. And there's conflicting reports about this. I've seen reports where all sides said they agree. I've seen reports where no side say they agree. I've seen reports where U.S. and Hamas agreed and Aardvarks didn't, and U.S. doesn't agree and Hamas does and Aardvarks do. It's just, there's no ceasefire. There's never going to be, even if all sides agree, because that's not the program, man. Get it? The program is genocide, ethnic cleansing, and Aardvark real estate redevelopment, Greater Aardvark Land Project. That is the program, and it will not change, as Aardvarks have continually told us. So forget all the BS out there from the AP, from CNN, and the rest of them, that there's a potential ceasefire deal on the table. There's not. It's all BS. All right. What else do we got here? Yeah, just more of the back and forth reports, all conflicting. Okay. Aardvark land authorizes more settlements in occupied West Bank, sparking criticism and an obstacle to Palestinian statehood. Well, you're not even going to have any land, so there will be no state because you won't have any land. You see and then that ends the argument right there. See what they're doing here? So today, Aardvark land said it would establish 22 new Aardvark settlements in occupied West Bank, including the legalization of outposts already built without government authorization. Isn't that good of them? It is good of them indeed. And so these ultra-Zionist psychopaths, quote, settlers, are going to go steal a bunch of more people's property. And they're forgiven for the last people's property that they stole and maybe murdered because the government said, it wasn't authorized. Who cares? That's your job to do anyway, as we know. So, yeah, it strengthens our hold on Judea and Samaria. Defense Minister Aardvark Katz said in a statement. He also went on to say, it anchors our historical right in the land of Aardvark land and constitutes a crushing response to Palestinian terrorism. I didn't think there was any Palestinian terrorism or Hamas in the West Bank. I thought it was in Gaza. Who knows? Who cares? Kill them all. He continued to say a strategic move that prevents the establishment of a Palestinian state that would endanger Aardvark land. So there you go. There is no two-state solution. They don't want a solution. They've never wanted a solution. They want all of the land, and that's the program, and they're going to take it one way or another. Either ethnic cleanse them out of there or just kill them all. It don't matter at this point. Palestinians are not going back to their land. And Aardvarks are taking it all. And that's the program. As they continue to say, how dare you be pro-Hamas. It's the absurdity of it all here now. Okay. Yeah. We reported that. Oh, let's hear from our favorite Aardvark banker, Mr. Smotrick again, finance minister of Aardvark land. What his and he's like the head guy of these psychopath settlers, ultra Zionists. He says, "We did not take a foreign land, but the inheritance of our ancestors. 58 years since the liberation of Judea and Samaria, a once-in-a-generation decision, we led a historic decision for settlement, 22 new settlements in Judea and Samaria, the renewal of settlement in northern Samaria, and the strengthening of the eastern boulevard of the state of Aardvark land, the protective wall of the state of Aardvark land. This is a great day for settlement and an important day for the state of Aardvark land. Through hard work and persistent leadership, we succeeded in creating a profound strategic change, returning the state of Aardvark land to a path of construction, Zionism, and vision." These are his words right here. You can see settlement in the inheritance of our ancestors is the protective wall of the state of Aardvark land. Today, we took a huge step to strengthen it. The next step is sovereignty. So they're going to steal all that land, the West Bank, and then declare sovereignty over it. Legit. Totally legit. No problem. No ethnic cleansing. They're the good guys because Aardvark banker Smotrick says so. It's his right as inheritance from his ancestors. Pay no attention to the religious fanaticism whatsoever. All right. I think that's about all we have. The wrap up, the closeout clip is going to be just to play it one more time for anybody that missed it yesterday. We're going to play that short clip of genocide tourism, like probably one of the most evil things that I've seen in a while. But before we get to that, let's go to the channels here. Let's go to Odysee. Shout out to John and Huffman on the Odysee, keeping it going for us there. Yeah, we miss Barry being our chat room moderator and hype man. Well, they talk about the Club of Rome, Chatham House. Yeah. Trump should watch the Atlantic Council YouTube channel. Probably should. He'd be more informed than listening to friggin' UK, France, and Germany. John says, did you see the interview with Mossad Dick, who said they create our reality? I played a short clip of that, John, on 60 Minutes. Indeed. Yeah, it was like 6 months ago. That it's like, wow, they're saying the quiet part out loud quite a bit here. Yeah, but don't be an anti-Aardvark. It's fine. They're just bragging about running psyops on us, on the whole world, actually. It's fine. It's wonderful. It's their, as Smotrick told us, it's their inheritance from their ancestors. And Rubio's like, well, there's a long history of being anti-Aardvark. I wonder why. You know what I mean? It's just inherent to human nature to hate aardvarks, right? No, they're doing stuff and all over the world throughout time that are pissing people off to the point where they want to line them up and frickin', give them the final solution. There's something to it. Something's going on here. You know what I mean? We're noticing a trend throughout history and around the world of aardvarks pissing everybody off to the point where they're ready to, they kick them out of the country or they give them the final solution. You know what I mean? this time around, this reiteration, they're acting as puppets of the of Western intelligence. Let's not forget that fact, which we have continued to cover here and fully documented how this is indeed the case. Overlap with the religious fanaticism, megalomaniac, war crime, genocide mindset. So anyway, thank you, gentlemen, on the Odysee for tuning in and keeping the chat lively there. What does he say? John says the Rothschilds understood it was strategic location way back. Yeah, indeed they did. And that's why they've put it right there, right? Them in the UK. That's why they put it right there. All right. Thank you, gentlemen, for tuning in. Kicked out of, John says, kicked out of 109 countries, kicked out of 109 countries, 1,030 times. They have a habit of murdering Christian children for their aardvark voodoo. There you go. You know what I mean? But who cares? It's just everybody's mean to aardvarks. That's the real reason, right? It's none of their wrongdoings. They're always the victim. God's chosen people. I guess if your God is Satan, then I guess they are God's chosen people. So thank you guys for keeping the chat lively. And when I say chat room mod, what words can't I put in chat? And is there feelings policy here? What? At Wire, you can say anything you want in this chat, but you may be banned by, I don't know. Who knows what the internet censors do? But you can say anything you want here. We're free speech. I've heard every insult there is thrown at me. So, or whatever. It's better than to insult people is to actually add some informative information, as John did here with his comment about aardvarks being kicked out all over the place 1,030 times. But say whatever you want. There's no censorship here on Odysee. All right. Thank you, gentlemen, for tuning in on Odysee and keeping that chat lively and informative. Over to the Rumble chat. A lot has come through there. We had some very informative comments, and it was quite lively. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in on the Rumble chat. Snarky Guy, Denver, Chloe. I saw a couple of others, I think, maybe. Maybe not. Carrie, of course. Thank you, Carrie, for tuning in. And everybody else that tuned into the live broadcast on Rumble and created a lively chat there back and forth. We do appreciate it. Your timely and informative comments. As I was able to put some up on the screen. The best was during Rubio's address, I think, and the taco, of course. Trump always chickens out. But the comments about our Secretary of State, Little Marco, tied up in a cocaine trafficking outfit there in the 80s in Miami. Who knew? Well, thank you for informing us there, Denver, about the shady background and dealings of Little Marco. And there is something weird going on with his ears. I saw you guys talking about that. He does have unusually large ears, right? And something's up with his haircut, too. You could think Secretary of State could get a decent haircut, but he has this weird comb-over thing going on with big old elephant ears. He's like, I don't know. Is that even Marco or a guy wearing a mask? I don't know. You know what I mean? But yeah, they're definitely all puppets of Aardvark land being puppeteered by UK and our own intelligence agencies here. So isn't it all a giant circle jerk of fun and genocide? All right. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in on the Rumble, the Bitchute. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in on the Bitchute. Let's see what the audience looks like on the Bitchute. A few people over there. Thank you for tuning in on the Bitchute. Appreciate it. I do see they are processing videos, but very strange. I don't know. Maybe I shall email Bitchute again, because they've been processing videos not in chronological order, which makes it kind of look really funky. Anyway, thank you guys for tuning in on the Bitchute to the live stream. Over to the YouTube. We have a few people, it says, on the YouTube. Shout out to YouTube audience. And of course, Hitler's the most evil man in the world. I'm sorry, Putin and Hitler, the most evil men in the world, but currently alive, Putin, right? And we'll go down to our dying day exposing Trump. So take the throttle shadow ban off and let us flow on YouTube. Thank you very much. YouTube community, whatever it is, community notes, or what the hell is it called? Community guideline standards. Thank you very much there for that. And thank you for the audience tuning in on the YouTube. We do appreciate it as we fight through the aforementioned censorship and community guideline triggering and violations, which are ever changing and they just pick out of a hat. But hey, it's been rumored on the interwebs that if you dedicate your life to exposing Trump, then YouTube will shine a bright light on you. So that's where we're going on YouTube. But of course, on X, we love Trump. He's the greatest ever. MAGA, DOGE, Musk is the greatest, right? But on YouTube, not so much. So anyway, let's keep that in mind in our reporting. It depends on the platform largely about what you're allowed to say, who you're allowed to bash, and who the most evil man in the world actually is. Okay. With all that being said, thank you to the Kick audience, the Twitch audience, the Facebook audience. And again, to remind everybody, all the links to the videos and everything else we talked about will be on the sources section of Weaponized News Substack channel after the show for further research. If you're interested in anything that we covered, you can use that as a starting point for deep dives into all of the crimes against humanity, violations of our natural rights that we expose here every single day on Weaponized News. And remember, kids, don't trust the government ever. Don't trust the feds ever. So we're going to go ahead and play out with, again, yesterday, the shocking video documenting aardvark genocide tourism. It's beyond the pale, man. Beyond the pale. And then hopefully tomorrow I'll find something happy to take us out. But this video is just so shocking, even for me, that we had to play it again. So as always, everybody, do your own research, peace, love, and liberty. Speak out and take action. And have a great rest of your Thursday evening. We'll see you back here tomorrow for Friday edition of more Weaponized News. Remember, don't trust the government or the feds ever.
Tourists and school children are going on field trips in Israel, but not to museums. Instead, to watch the destruction of Gaza, known as resilience tourism in Israel, but as genocide tourism internationally.
So we were a mile and a half or so from 300,000 people who were being forcibly starved to death by the Israelis.
That was Matthew Ho, a former U.S. State Department official and U.S. Marine veteran, who recently took this tour in Sderot, where visitors use coin-operated binoculars to peek into Gaza.
An Israeli school field trip showed up, and these children, they're teenagers, they came from 2 hours away to come and watch the genocide.
The tours are also done in English for international visitors and are included in Birthright Israel trips for Jewish Americans and for all Israeli school children.
The population sees it as entertainment, where you have this complete dismissal of the Palestinians as human beings, but part of their school curriculum.
And it doesn't just stop at the observation platforms. Reportedly, boat tours have been organized to view the destruction of Gaza, sparking outrage worldwide.